Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Go ahead and get your notebooks ready because today we are entering the Machine Learning Flight Academy. I am incredibly excited to take you through this because here's the thing. Building a machine learning system is exactly like launching a rocket. You can't just build an engine, light a match, and shoot it into space, right? You need a clear destination. You need the absolute highest grade fuel, intense safety testing, and of course, a perfect launch pad. Okay, let's dive right into this by shattering a pretty massive public myth. So many people kind of assume machine learning is just this isolated magical moment. A lone genius typing green code into a terminal, feeding it raw numbers, and boom, instantly getting a futuristic AI. But the reality? The reality is actually a highly structured, interconnected five-phase engineering workflow. It's a very precise sequence of events. So, here's our flight plan for today. We'll start with the rocket launch myth, then move through Phase 1, sourcing raw fuel, Phase 2, refining the fuel, Phase 3, teaching the engine, Phase 4, the final exam, and wrap it all up with Phase 5, launching into orbit. All right, kicking things off with the rocket launch myth and Phase 1, sourcing raw fuel. Look, before our rocket goes anywhere at all, it needs fuel. And in machine learning, data is that fuel. But you can't just pour any random liquid into an engine and expect it to fly. Honestly, brilliant teams fail completely because they ignore one golden rule. We call it GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. A model can literally only ever be as smart as the raw data you feed it. Give it garbage, and it's going to give you garbage predictions right back. So, where do engineers actually find the good stuff? Well, data is scattered all across the universe, but engineers primarily pull their raw fuel from three core sources. First up, relational databases, or SQL. Think of these as your structured corporate tables holding transaction histories or user logs. Second, we've got web scraping and APIs, which pull live data straight from the internet, stuff like stock prices or weather updates. And third, sensors and IoT devices. These capture real-time physical streams like GPS coordinates from delivery trucks or temperature monitors on a factory floor. But hang on a second. We really need to pause there and ask a crucial question. When you're sourcing fuel, you have to be on high alert for skewed data. Imagine an automated resume screening tool built by a tech firm. If they train their model using historical hiring data from, say, the past 20 years, well, that was a time when the tech industry was overwhelmingly male-dominated. So what actually happens? The model mistakenly learns that being male is a mathematical feature of success. That's just bad data integrity, and it will end up actively downgrading brilliant female applicants. It's a stark warning for all of us. You always have to ask, who is missing from this data? Which brings us right into Phase 2, refining the fuel. Because raw data is naturally super messy, we have to refine it. And before we do anything else, we establish the golden rule of evaluation, the train, test, split. And this brilliantly illustrates how it works. Think of it like a math test. If a student just memorizes the study guide, they don't necessarily understand the actual math, right? To test true understanding, the final exam has to use unseen questions. So engineers split the data up. About 70 to 80% is the training set. That's our study guide. The remaining 20 to 30% is the testing set, and that gets locked away in a vault, so the model remains completely blind to it. Now, with our data safely split, we run the training set through a strict pre-processing checklist. Step 1 is cleaning and imputation. Say a user leaves their age blank. We fill it in logically using the average or median value. Step 2 is feature encoding. Algorithms need numbers, not words, so we convert text categories like red or green into binary formats like 1 or 0. And step 3 is feature scaling. We standardize the variables. You don't want a massive metric, like an annual income in the hundreds of thousands, to mathematically overpower a smaller metric, like a body temperature of 98 degrees, simply because the numbers are larger. Okay, moving right along to Phase 3, teaching the engine. This is the moment the model actually starts learning. I want you to visualize the algorithm as this giant control board covered in thousands of unadjusted dials and knobs called parameters. At the very start, all those knobs are pointed in completely random directions. So we enter this insanely rapid iterative loop. Step 1, prediction. We pass the training data through, and the model makes a guess. And since the dials are random, the first guess is absolutely terrible. Step 2, loss calculation. The algorithm calculates exactly how wrong its guess was using a penalty counter called a loss function. Step 3, optimization. The system just slightly turns those dials in the direction that reduces the penalty. Guess, tally the penalty, tweak the dials. Over and over, thousands of times, until the dials perfectly map the inputs to the correct outputs at lightning speed. Now for Phase 4, the final exam. All right, our engine is humming, and it's finally time to unlock the vault and bring out that untouched testing set. Now, you might think we just look at the overall accuracy score and call it a day, right? But accuracy can be a massive trap. Consider a factory where 99% of the machines are perfectly healthy. A completely broken model that just blindly guesses healthy every single time will technically score 99% accuracy, but it will completely fail to catch the 1% of machines that literally explode. So yeah, basic accuracy just isn't enough. We need multiple ways to grade this test. So the crucial point here is understanding the balance between precision and recall. It's essentially a balancing act that depends entirely on your specific business problem. Precision asks, out of all the times the model predicted something would happen, how many times was it actually right? This is absolutely crucial when false alarms are super expensive. Recall, on the other hand, asks, out of all the actual events that happened out in the real world, how many did the model manage to catch? Having a high recall is absolutely vital when missing an actual event, like failing to diagnose a sick patient, has severe real-world consequences. And finally, we arrive at Phase 5, launching into orbit. Our model has officially aced the exam, and it is time to leave the private development lab. Deployment is how this magic actually reaches your fingertips out in the wild, and companies usually choose one of three approaches. First is real-time or API deployment. This lives on a cloud server. You send a request, and it answers in milliseconds, like when you open up Uber and an AI instantly estimates your fare. Then we have batch scoring. Here, the model runs on a scheduled timer, crunching historical data all at once, kind of like Netflix refreshing your movie recommendations every midnight. And finally, there's edge deployment. This is when the model is compressed directly onto local hardware with no internet required at all. It's exactly like the Face ID unlocking your smartphone right now, or a self-driving car processing video locally on its own internal computer. And that brings us to our final takeaway for today. The true power of AI isn't in the algorithm itself, but in the human responsibility of the engineers building the rocket. Throughout this explainer, we've seen how every single phase, from the data we choose to collect to the metrics we choose to grade by, is fundamentally a human decision. At the end of the day, engineers are entirely responsible for what they launch into orbit. So the next time an algorithm recommends a movie, estimates your fare, or screens your resume, ask yourself, what kind of raw fuel is powering it, and how exactly was it tested? Are you questioning the rockets you interact with every single day? Thank you so much for joining me at the Machine Learning Flight Academy. Keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.